This show brought to you by Ricmotech. Are you considering a Thrustmaster product? If so, you should consider Ricmotech. They are an authorized Thrustmaster dealer. They take support to the next level and offer optional firmware updates, product testing, and support, all free of charge, and will ship worldwide. Check them out at ricmotech.com. John and Darin's office chairs provided by GT Omega Racing. You can check them out at gtomegaracing.com.
Welcome to This Week Inside Sim Racing, April 5th, 2017 edition. I'm John Sable, and we got the gang back together.
Gang's all here.
We are, and a nice pageant wave. Very nice.
Yeah, you like that?
I'm flanked by two beards.
Yes. Didn't get the memo of our beardness. But yeah, welcome to the show, everyone. Off the top, let us know how our audio is sounding. That's always kind of a challenge, syncing all of us. So if we have any issues, let us know now versus later. Yes, welcome to the show. We got some news this week, happenings. Got a poll question that I remembered to put up there this week. Huzzah. And we'll get to some Q&A, which I think Q&A we spent like an hour on last week. So that always gives us plenty to talk about.
You guys were light on content, though, too, so...
We were. Last week, I needed everyone to help me out since I had just gotten back from being out there in Northern California, so I was like... I put the show together like an hour, and I need you guys to give us more stuff to talk about.
Well, you guys did a good job. Did a great job.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay, so, what do you say we go ahead and kick it off and get through some of these news topics, shall we?
Sounds good.
Oh, and beforehand, a like would be appreciated. Thank you. So, first up, let's go ahead and talk about Project Cars 2, as I saw Darin's dog walking by in the background for a second there. Charlie. So there's been a few different cars, not a few different cars, but there's been a few different announcements for Project Cars 2 over the past week, and kind of got them all grouped together in this one topic here. There was an announcement of Nissan GTRs coming, and there was 4 of those. The Super Silhouette Skyline 2000 RS that we're looking at here, which is pretty awesome. And then the tuned and prepped SMS R34 that we're seeing on screen right now, and then an R35 GTR, and then the current Nissan GTR Nismo GT3 car will eventually show up here. So part of Project Cars 2 saying, hey, look at all this Japanese content we have. But looks pretty cool. Sweet.
Yeah, they do. You know, I saw a Nissan GTR on the street the other day, and those cars are badass. Andrea, I was with my wife, and I'm like, look at that Nissan GTR. She's like, that's a Nissan? So, anyway, those are sweet cars.
Yeah, the GTR doesn't quite fit the rest of the lineup. What was that, Billy?
I said I love the silhouette.
Oh, no, that car does look badass. I think that's the most exciting car of the group right there. So,
yes.
Moving on, and then there was another announcement showing off a bunch of Mitsubishi Lancers and Evos. So Lancer Evo 6 SVA is coming, Lancer Evo 10 FQ400, the Tommy Makinen, we'll go with that, Edition Evo, and the FQ360 GSR. Hopefully I pronounced those all properly, because I'm not super familiar with them. But there you go, more Lancers and Evos coming to the title, another Japanese brand. And then, I don't know how that picture got in there. And then last up, the Jag, the XJR-9.
Badass.
Group C car. Group C, right? I got that right, Billy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Those Group C, they also had those here in the States in the IMSA GTP series.
Yep.
That's right. What years did these run?
What, 90s? Early 90s?
Late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Because that's the 9, so then they went to, the 12 and then the 14. So 14 was like early 90s.
Gotcha. And then, speaking of this car, so they kind of they've been doing, actually, I have to say, Slightly Mad's been doing these really nice write-ups over on their website, kind of introducing all these cars, a lot of detailed history, great, all these images, really nice job. Then today, even though that story came out a week ago, they released this video, which is the first video we've seen in a while from Project Cars 2, and I think it's the first onboard video we've seen of the Jaguar going around a wet but drying Long Beach. And as I read online, allegedly, if you look closely, when the car hits some of the different puddles out there on the track, it actually drags the water with it to the dry spots. So
Nice.
that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, that is.
But no, this looks like a really nice I mean, I have to say I was really impressed with what I'm seeing here. Looks like they did a really nice job of just like recreating Long Beach. I'm not seeing a bunch of like silly Project Cars 2 banners hanging around. I'm seeing all the banners you see at the IndyCar weekend. There's like once in a while they sneak in the stylized 2 up on the wall, which is pretty neat. But I mean, this looks pretty awesome.
It does. Yeah, they did a good job on it.
And as with all cars and all tracks in Project Cars 2, this is either laser scanned or drone scanned, and I'm not sure which. It'll be interesting if they start announcing in the future which is which. But nope, pretty neat stuff right there.
Yep, looking good.
Uh,
I agree.
Yeah, Project Cars 2. We've talked about it before. I'm still on board the hype train. Please don't disappoint us.
Cautiously optimistic.
What? You gotta just jump on the hype train. All in.
No. I can't do it.
Come on, Billy.
Okay.
I just have one, just dipping my toe in the water. That's it.
Next topic, Automobilista. One of you guys want to go ahead and take that?
Sure, I'll take it. Version 1.3.5 added feature to automatically export setups from the player's fastest lap in time trial mode. Other users can then fetch this setup by clicking the time on the timing stands and clicking the button to download it. That's cool.
Now, one thing I want to bring up there. Do you think this is interesting? Because part of me is like, this is really cool that you can get a guy who's fast get their setup. But also, I mean, maybe you put a lot of time in that. You don't want other people to have that.
That's the first thing I thought of.
Well, and it's in time trial mode though, so I guess if you don't want to share your setup, just don't run time trial.
That is true. I mean, it's nice for the community. I mean, it does help everyone out. I think that's really neat. It's just, I guess you got to be willing to share it now.
Yep.
On one hand, I like that because if you found an exploit, then everybody then can know that exploit. But on the other hand, I understand if you put a lot of time into that setup, then it could be a little frustrating.
Yep. Definitely. So let's see what else they got. Dev update, version 1.4, single player. One of the versions, 1.4's main point of focus is the custom season tool, adding some extra dimension not only to championship mode, but to the race weekend in general. What else? I'm not going to read through all these here. AI is receiving some extra attention. So it says dev update. So this is not actually live, but this is what they're working on, correct?
Correct. This is what's going to be coming up either in version 1.4 or even after that. And I got some images right now of the Hockenheim ring up, which is going to be coming to those who have the season pass.
Sweet.
Yep, coming in V1.4 to season pass holders. Something else I just saw, Steam support will be improved. Ritza is also planning to improve support for the Fanatec CSL, the Logitech G29 and G920 wheels in time for the next update. They're making some audio improvements. And so 2016 and 2001 versions of Hockenheim, is that?
Yes.
Is that what that is? Okay. And then 1972 and 1988 versions coming as part of the Legendary Tracks Part 3 DLC out after the 1.4 update. And then we're looking at the 2017 F1 car will also be out after the 1.4.
Yeah, yeah. The 2017 F1 car is what I called it. They don't have technically a name for it yet. But of note with this car is they're developing all the different electronic ERS system and stuff like that, and so it will have that upon release, and then the past cars that have that, such as the Formula Extreme based off the 2014 car, that will get that control and that physics as well. So, but no, that's a very cool car, and probably your first taste of something that's kind of 2017 like in sim racing.
Very cool.
Now they can just ban those fins by the time it's released. I hate those things.
And that is all for Automobilista.
Yes. So, next up, Billy, there was a video released, I think yesterday via Twitter, of an iRacing damage model. Well, if I can get the video to roll properly. Here we go. What's going on here?
Well, what happened is Steve Myers, they put him in the simulator, and then he sneezed really hard, and all the pieces went everywhere. No, that's just a work in progress. He went on to say that this is very, still in the beginning phases of implementing this new damage model, which I don't remember the gentleman he said was working on it, but he still wasn't very happy with how it looks. But it's a cool idea. I mean, it gives us that are playing using iRacing a direction that they're going with the new damage model.
Yeah, this was cool to see because we hadn't heard anything about the damage model since we had Tony Gardner on this show about over a year ago now. He talked a lot about the damage model, and I even had an email with him sometime, I think over the summer or fall, where I was kind of like, I said, hey, if you're looking for any kind of input on composites failure, let me know, because I used to do that. And he's kind of like, well, we're pretty far along now, so yeah, that's kind of the first time we've seen anything, which it still looks like they got a little bit ways to go.
What I'd like to see is those parts staying on the track for at least, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. And
can you imagine?
That'd be cool. And then you run into them, cut a tire or something by running over them.
Oh my goodness. People would lose their minds. That idiot crashed, and now I gotta suffer. It's already an issue.
Go ahead, John. Sorry.
I think they're gonna do that. I think that's how it's gonna be. It's. I don't know. Maybe they'll have debris cautions on ovals, or I don't know, local cautions on road courses. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I was just going to say that without cautions, at least local cautions on road courses. I'm thinking about. I mean, on an oval, you're going to get the caution. So on that, it would be great. Car wrecks, and because I mean that's common in NASCAR. Guys go over debris and then they cut a tire and then they got a pit. I mean that happens all the time. But yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yes.
Anyway, I think it looks good. I like seeing all the parts flying off the car like that.
Yeah, and I'm really fascinated to see. Well, I know part of the parts coming off is part of dissipating energy, which is part of the issue they have on kind of the crash physics right now, especially like the Indy car, where the thing just keeps on spinning like a top because it's never blowing off parts and it's never dissipating that energy. So yeah, that'll be nice to see.
I agree.
I was gonna say, well, I guess we can ask Billy later if he's encountered any fun crash physics with the dirt racing, but we'll get to that later. Okay, with that chuckle, next thing, Dirt 4. So Dirt 4, I had a chance last week to try it out, and we had put that video up on Sunday on last Beyond the Gloves episode, and overall was pretty impressed with it. This was a video that was released by, let me get this right, who did this? This was by Shure, which is an audio recording company. It was pretty much essentially an ad. But they did show how they use their products to capture sound in Dirt 4, and here they are in which car? The Lancia. Is it 037? 37? I'm not familiar with
I believe it's 037.
Okay, 037 Evo 2. And you see, like, on the back there, they taped on just all these different recorders and all those wires, and quite the process. But I thought, it's like, here we go. I think this is going to be, this should be the reason why sound should be an improvement in Dirt 4, because I thought I read somewhere that they weren't able to do this type of stuff in Dirt Rally.
Did you see all the wires coming out of that cutout in the side window?
Right?
It's ridiculous. Oh, the cutout out of louvers. What was really crazy is that wasn't the whole video. There was some prior to that. They're just putting tape all over this car. I'm like, this is like a classic. It's like,
and it's got it all back on the back fender and everything. Yeah, it's interesting.
And it's flimsy like fiberglass and probably gel coat, and it's just like, it's stuff that, like, I'm like, ugh, don't ruin the car.
I think that's great that they went to that extreme to capture the sound, and I'm wondering if they did it on all the cars.
That is the question.
What's always been hard is to get the sound under load. That's always been a challenge for any sim, and so if they can do it that way, they're getting the sound, the characteristic of everything under load instead of it just, revving the engine.
Right. Yeah, so that's really cool. Yeah, because you're right, Billy. That makes a huge difference. I have also tried Dirt 4 briefly. No footage of that. And so far, I'm impressed. I got to try it. We're testing it, developing the plugins for Sim Experience, and it's pretty sweet.
Nice.
I'm digging it.
It is a good sign that, not that we're like way ahead of release, but we're still a few months that they're getting those plugins out to the third-party guys like you. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, and there was in Dirt Rally there was a controller configuration. I want to call it a bug because it really was a bug. But if you had multiple inputs, peripherals, separate wheel and pedal set, you had to go through. Like if you pushed a button to launch the game on the wheel, your control config would be wiped. So you always had to use the keyboard to get in. That seems to be gone. I only tested it briefly a few times, but all my control and the control configuration is definitely different in game. So that's a great sign. And AccuForce is supported, and I'm running the Fanatic Club Sport pedals, and all of them were recognized and mapped easily, and felt great.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's nice
Me too.
when all.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's nice when all that stuff's just taken care of prior to launch. Concept.
Yes.
Okay, so last up, there was an update in RaceRoom today. When you guys want to tell us what was updated and what can be purchased now?
Go for it,
I will
Darren.
take that. That's my turn?
Yeah,
It's my
sure.
turn. RaceRoom update. Flags. So they've added flags. They have added... Is this new? WTCC 2016?
Yep, that is new with the new Volvo in there.
Very cool. Needless to say, I'm a little out of the loop here. Change so upon finishing a race with a slowdown penalty still active, the player will receive a penalty of 30 seconds added to his final result. Another change of the slowdown. Fixed issue with video options breaking when switching monitors with same resolution but different refresh rates.
That's a big one for me. I've had so much annoyance with that and bouncing between triples and singles at time and VR.
I got to try this in VR. I haven't. This came out while I was laid up, so I definitely want to try that out. And then there's still a few other just tweaks and fixes, various AI tweaks and improvements, and WTCC TC work parts. What?
John and I always make a joke about how every time there seems to be an update from a developer that has AI tweak or improvement is almost always in there.
That's why it's on the notes. I went and I took the I thought the most interesting ones, and there it is. I had to add it to the list.
That's funny.
And then new driver animation. So cool stuff. John, have you tried RaceRoom in VR?
I got it up and running kind of, but I need to really drive it. I haven't really played around with it yet. So that is interesting in the VR update there, that they went and they've done essentially what iRacing did in the last update, where they've gone and they cropped the screen, so now you can get a full screen when you're in VR. So now that that's done, now I'll be a lot more motivated to check that out and maybe do a video, because I think that's always really neat to show that.
Yeah.
We'll see how well that's done. That's still something like I kind of had that. I don't know. Like Assetto Corsa still does the best job with that. I feel like when Assetto Corsa crops it, you're still kind of like, it still shows about right your head position to the wheel. And what's right now with the iRacing crop, it zooms you in a whole lot. And I think that was part of the issue when I went and I did the video with my motion. I was like, you were like right on top of the steering wheel, so then it, exaggerated all the bouncing. And this is something that it doesn't happen when they do the crop in Assetto Corsa. So it'll be interesting to see how they crop this in RaceRoom, and if they, if it crop and you zoomed in a lot, or if they can keep you further back. So I think that does make a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly
Makes
haven't put my Rift on since I've been back driving yet. It's kind of collecting dust. I need to get that going.
Yeah, well, we'll get to it later. I got my system back up and running yesterday, and yeah, I haven't hooked up the Rift yet. But okay, so with that, that's it for the news for the week, and let's move on to happenings. And Darin, you, like you said, you were kind of laid up there for a long time with your leg. You ran a 12-hour race this past weekend.
I did, and it was in Assetto Corsa, which I got to thinking about it. That was my first ever online race in Assetto Corsa, and it was 12 hours of Le Mans, and it was put together by X-Play. What the heck? I forgot the name. Anyway,
Explosive TV.
Yes, and it was definitely interesting because everything was done in German. So I think I was one of the few Americans running in this race. So anyway, all the guides and stuff that was sent to me. I'd like to thank my friend Jens Perkot. And Jens, I've never pronounced your last name, so sorry if I got that wrong. But anyway, he invited me to run with him and a friend of his named Denny. And we ran in the Nissan GTR in the GT3 class. And it was my first race since I've been back. And I was right foot braking, which was interesting. I had to get used to doing that. But it was cool. This version of Le Mans in Assetto Corsa, I don't know who did it. But, you guys can see some footage of it here. It was amazing. It was a really great version for a track that wasn't developed by Kunos. But it was fun. It was LMP and GT3 class racing. And so they had to do we had to share a Steam account, which was interesting. We had to share Jens' Steam account. And they enforced 4-minute pit stops so that you could do driver swaps. And basically when you do a driver swap, you have to disconnect and then reconnect with that person's Steam account. And I think they've just come out with driver swaps in Assetto Corsa, but they didn't do it for this race because they didn't test with it and they wanted to make sure everything was working right. So anyway, compared to an iRacing endurance race, these guys put a ton of effort into making this all go off. The apps that they're using, and they're running on a private server, obviously, and then they broadcast it. It was cool. It was pretty awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who's in this video running on the stage 4?
That's actually an Acto racer, which is, I think they end up buying parts from. It's basically a stage 4 copy. I don't know. I think they had. That's a good question. I think they sponsored the event. Mm-hmm. I know there was an Acto racer team out there. But it was fun. We didn't finish all that well. We had an issue. Jens, when he joined the race, I guess they have some force feedback half rate thing that wasn't enabled on his end, and it really hurt his CPU usage. So that cost us like 5 minutes. But I think we ended up finishing like 11th in the GT3 class. It was cool. It was fun drive. We drove the Nissan GT3 car, and that was a fun drive.
So how are
Nice.
you? How are you at the end with the leg? That all feel okay?
So I didn't use my left leg because I mean that's the one I broke. So I was right foot braking, and I was getting fatigued in my right hip from
Carrying it over.
from carrying it over, doing all that right foot braking because I'm not used to doing that. So, but I was able to run fairly well. I mean, my lap times were, comparable to Denny and Jens, and ended up getting taken out during my second stint. I only ran for 2 hours. I ran 2 fuel loads, and then my right hip was I was done. Ended up getting taken out about 10 laps into my second run, and by an LMP car, and then the car was down on power and top end speed. But it was fun. It was cool. I was impressed with how it was to run, in Assetto Corsa. There wasn't, I didn't see any server issues or, latency issues as far as the connections go. And I'm in the US, and I'm assuming the server was in Germany. So anyway, they did a great job of putting that event on, and maybe I'll get you guys involved in the next one. Maybe we'll field a car or something.
Cool.
But yeah, it was.
No. So that would be cool. I definitely want to get onto a organized online Assetto Corsa race besides the drop-in servers that I've done so far. Which,
Yeah, the racing was. I mean, there was a few LMP drivers that were.
Not patient.
Over aggressive and not patient, making some passes and some. I got taken out twice by 2 LMP cars. But all the other racing, the GT3, all the other GT3 cars I encountered were great, and overall, just watching the some of the replay, looked like the racing was really good, high quality.
Out of curiosity, what was it like with the closing speed of the LMP1? It looked like they were using the Porsches versus being in a GT3 car. Was it significant?
It was significant. Yeah, the closing rate was huge. Nothing like us running the HPD, against the GT. Was it the GT1s we ran against? Oh yeah, there was GT1s and then a GT2. It was nothing like what we did in iRacing for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I mean, I'd say double the closing rate that we experienced in the HPD. So yeah, those LMP cars, they came up fast. It scared the crap out of me a few times. But anyway, it was cool. It was, like I said, I think one of the most impressive things, two really impressive things about it was all the work that they put into making this event go on, and then that version of Le Mans in Assetto Corsa, and then I was just impressed with how Assetto Corsa handled everything. It was cool. I didn't really look at Assetto Corsa as a prime contender for online racing, but after that, I'd say it is.
Good
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, let's pivot on from that, and next up, going to talk about the
Let us hear about your closet.
My closet. Yes, I've gone into the closet.
Come out of the closet, John.
Well, I had to for the show. The key is to spend as much time in the closet as possible. Gonna work on all these jokes. Where to go here? So on social media, I've been posting pictures over the last. And I should have grabbed the photos from social media in case you don't follow. But I have retrofitted one of the closets. I have 2 closets here in the room, and I retrofitted to put the bats in there. And there was a couple reasons for this. First up, I've never been fully happy with my setup of having my rig in front of a window, essentially, that I've had it board up like a redneck. I didn't care for that. So I wanted some place where it could have some, let's say, blank walls behind that looks a little better on camera. And then I got into this idea. I bought these monitor mounts you're seeing here. I bought one of them for my TV out in the living room to hang up on the wall, and I thought it was really nice. And they're like $30 off Amazon. I should have put the link in the description. Use our Amazon affiliate links if you like them. But anyway, I like those, and I started thinking, it's like, I don't really like the current stand I have for the triples. A lot of clutter around my feet. So I decided, it's like, okay, you know, how could I wall mount this? And then the closet turned out to be about the right size. So I went and I pulled off some of this crappy wood paneling I have in here from the 60s, and I painted it a dark color to try to hide some wires, and mounted up the monitors over the weekend and got the rig in there and got everything hooked up about yesterday. You can see I have the turbocharger power supply from the TSPC Racer hanging up there on the wall. So everything's just wall mounted. Also, I put up one of my IKEA shelves to put the PC up there, and I put the PlayStation up there. I even have the Oculus sensor sitting up on that shelf. So yeah, I think it turned out pretty clean, and still have some more things to do to it. I was actually over at Lowe's today picking up some hardware to mount the DSD button box I have, and also the Z1 dashboard up. And I think eventually I want to do a little more work on this and maybe do a video kind of showing this off. So I think it's an interesting concept, and maybe something that those of you at home might be interested in trying out sometime.
That came out sweet. Curious on the monitors.
Yeah,
are you able to adjust them up and down in case you change cockpits?
No, that is a tough thing. That is a tough thing. Yes, that is the negative. There is no up and down adjustments on these, and I don't really know if there's wall mounts that kind of have any significant up and down adjustments. So when I was drilling the holes, I had to be real careful, and it was great. Sunday night I was working in the dark because there's an outlet behind the right-hand monitor there. You can kind of see when it shows a picture of all the bundles of wires, the other one. And I turned off the breaker and everything. I went to take it out, and that one right there, you can see where it's plugged into the wall, and I got a spark. And
Yikes.
I didn't understand why. I had the breaker off. I have one of the kind of ohm reader checkers that you plug in and tells the lights if everything's off. It said it was great. And I got a spark, and I lost my overhead lights. And I'm like, oh shit, this is like, I spent a lot of money last year on putting LED light bulbs in, and I was worried. So since I was home by myself this weekend and Angela was out of town, I was like, well, I'm going to try not to kill myself Sunday night at 10 p.m. by myself in the house. And I just turned on all the studio lights. I just more or less worked in the dark, mounting up the monitors. And I came back yesterday, and I was like, okay, let me try this again. And I think what it was is it was a junction for like the overhead lights and it was all messed up. But anyway, I got it fixed now. So, yay, old wiring. I'm learning way more than I ever wanted to about it in this house.
It's not aluminum, then it really isn't that old.
That's true. It isn't that. But man, the way they got things spliced together here, it is something. So yeah, that is the closets. Like I said, I like to do a video on it at some point. Hopefully, I got a bunch of videos I need to get done. So hopefully, they'll start showing up on videos, and even looking at putting up maybe some kind of graphics up on the wall. So I got this nice wall space. So yeah, more to come.
Looks great.
Yeah, I agree. It looks really good.
Thank you. Yes, it's
cool idea. That's a perfect space for it too, man. The bat you have like that much space. It looks like on the outside of your monitors.
Yeah, I honestly wouldn't mind. I'm kind of maxed out on my monitors in terms of the angle. As I'm holding a washer, I like to get them in a little tighter, and I kind of have an idea how to shim that to get a little bit more tighter in there. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, for the most part, it worked out pretty well. Like I said, I'm just happy I got the level kind of close when I drilled the holes, because I was concerned about that.
Oh, you did a good job, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm impressed.
I think it will look good. We're trying to put out professional content here, so.
That's right.
Okay, so moving on, we have a poll question this week. It should be up here in the corner, and it might not make sense. I kind of got to explain this. The question is, how is iRacing Dirt racing for you? So iRacing Dirt was put out last week. We had our videos on it, and now there's been a week of official and unofficial races going out there. I'm curious to see how well it's going. I think I said like it's great, it's okay, it's a crash fest. I think were the three options I had. I myself, because I've been working on this, I've only just kind of jumped in today and did some practice since I was at Billy's place driving it. But Billy, you have driven this a ton. So,
Yeah.
where do you fall on this poll? Has it been awesome? Has it been okay? Or has it been a crash fest?
For the most part, it's been awesome. I've had a couple instances, and it seems to be more of a car and track combination. So the first race I did was like the street stock at USA, and that was not great. But then I got all settled and started running the 305 sprint car at Williams Grove, and then started running the limited because I was at a D license, and my I rating was like, I don't know, 15 or 1600. And this was starting last Thursday. And started running those and had some really, really good races. Everyone, I think the hardest part, I'm being a little bit more lenient with people because of people chopping down.
Tell us how you feel, Billy.
People want to get to the bottom. I'm trying to think of how to word this. People want to get to the bottom, even when they go high, and then they get sideways, and then instead of just letting off of the throttle and gathering the car back up, they just stay in the throttle, and it shoots down across the track. And so you can't do that. The only time you can do that is, when you have a big enough gap in between you and the car behind you. But that seems to be the biggest problem, is people changing lines without realizing somebody can catch you really quick with how the dirt is. And then people just not giving each other enough room racing side by side. People forget that there's a right rear sticking out or a left rear sticking out, or, like we were experiencing with the late model, hitting the quarter panel on the on the wall. People are kind of forgetting how big or where the cars are at, and you just need to give a little more space because these cars move around. So I think I'm giving a little more latitude. I think for the most part, everybody's done really well. I've had some awesome side-by-side races. In fact, I've got a 360 race when I bumped up to my C license. What was that, Saturday or Sunday? Immediately, I jumped into the 360 at Williams Grove and had an awesome race with a bunch of guys. And, I think for the most part, I'd say it's awesome.
Nice. So, I don't know if I missed it there. Did you say how much you've bumped up in iRating in like the last not even week?
Yeah, I've gone from, I don't know, it was like mid 1500 or maybe it was like 1600, and now I'm almost 2400.
Nice.
that's insane. That's quite the jump. Yeah.
Well, and I finally got started. I'm getting put in top splits with guys, which is nice.
I got to get out there with you, Billy, because my oval I rating is about 2300. So you and I would get we'd probably be in the same split.
No, mine
nice.
too. Mine.
John, yeah, you're right there too, right?
Yeah, I think mine is like 2300 because I haven't driven forever on the oval. So
we gotta get out there. That'd be fun.
And that's a good split level because that is. I mean, if you get a lot of cars out there, everyone's right along each other, and it's just high enough. If there's only like a couple of splits, that you can kind of sneak into the higher one. So that's a good number to be at. That's so funny. Billy's just for the last like 5 days been walking into these servers like, it's like shooting fish in a bucket.
Not always. I mean, I've only won probably about 4 or 5 times.
Only 4 or 5 times.
Well,
I have 8 total oval wins, I think.
I'm sure I don't have that many.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm looking at it. I think I've done a total of probably 17 or 18 dirt races now. Something like that.
Nice.
So how many you got? 4 or 5?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 4 or 5.
30% win rate.
It's not too shabby.
No.
So, but I'm having a lot of good battles, lots of seconds and thirds, and I play around with like where I qualified. So the first time I got into a top split with the 305 at Eldora, it had Matt Malone in it, and there was a couple other like pro license holders that were in there as well. And so I was like the low guy on the totem pole. I was number 14 out of 14 in that split. the top split. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to qualify with my race fuel load and just see how this all works out. And actually had some really good races. I kind of got shuffled back with the 305 at Eldora. It's almost like a plate race because the track's so round. If you get out of the groove, you just get freight trained. So it was a lot of, and the track's changing too. So it was really cool to see the dynamic with everybody in that particular race. Everybody was running the same line, so they were burning it off as we were running. And so then everybody starts moving around more. It was really cool. And as they moved around a lot more, I started, sneaking my way back up through the field. And at the end, I was battling with, I think, 6th and 7th. I mean, we were like nose to tail, like going side by side. It was really fun.
Yeah, I have to say, the bit of racing I have watched, I've been pretty impressed with it. Like I haven't really seen that many crashes and a lot of pretty respectful driving. So no, I'm excited. We gotta all get out there at the same time and have Billy give us a setup and follow him.
Really, people have been asking me about setups and stuff. Really, using the track setup that they give you for the most part is the best way to go. If you're, more than about 2 to 3 tenths off, you just got to work on your line and how, finding the moisture and stuff. The setup, there's a couple, like with the limited late model, I didn't care for. It was too loose on entry. And really, I'm just dropping the air pressure down in the right rear a pound. When the track dries out, I'm just dropping the air pressure, really.
Even if you aren't adjusting much, I do think we should do like a setup video, because I think that would still... I think that'd still be pretty cool to see, even if it is just a tiny little change. Or I also like to hear, how you change like the wing angle during a run, since you can do that with the sprint cars. That'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I've only had to do it a couple times because it's very dependent on the track starts in a random state. So sometimes it'll be hooked up, and then sometimes it's super slick. But if you can get in a race that kind of does this in between, where it'll slick off a lot during the race, and then you got a lot of fast guys running in the same line, that's when you tend to use your wing slider more. If you're kind of like running your own line, you don't need to mess with it a whole lot, because the track will change a little bit. But if you know how to work the throttle pedal, you'll be fine. I use the wing during the race as more of a bigger adjustment when I still need to hit the same line. Using the spotter is kind of pointless, but what is nice is using it for your lap times and then using the relative. Because what that does while I'm running, I'm checking those constantly to see, if I was running, let's say, 15-second laps and the guy in front of me were keeping about, let's say, 4/10 of a gap, and all of a sudden I drop to a 15.2 or 15.3, I check the relative. If he's the same... if that hasn't changed, then we're still running the same pace, which means it's the track slowing down. Sure. But if that gap starts to increase, that's when I start hunting and maybe pull the wing back and like trying to find a different line.
So I have some questions for you guys. So what's your favorite dirt car and what's your least favorite dirt car? And then the other question is, I haven't tried it yet, but the truck. I noticed that there's a dirt version. I just popped on yesterday, and I noticed there's a dirt version of every car. So like the Legends car, for instance, there's like a dirt version. But the truck, do you just go out there with the regular truck, and it's a dirt version? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So there's not a specific dirt truck. It's just the truck.
Correct. If you own the truck already, then you just get the dirt version of that.
Got it. Okay. So, actually, so I just asked the other question. I'll tell you guys my favorites. I like the sprints the most. Probably the 410. I mean, I like the three. I don't think I've driven the 305, but the 360 and the 410, I had a blast driving. And my least favorite dirt car is probably the street stock. I just struggled with that thing. It was at USA that, during one of those fun races. I haven't run any races. I've just gone into practice sessions. So what about you guys?
Go ahead, John.
I probably between the 410 sprints and then the super late models. I think those are both fun. I definitely like the more horsepower. I've always struggled with momentum cars.
Me
'Cause
too.
You just gotta be smooth, and I guess apparently I'm just not smooth. So I've always liked to have more horsepower to make up for my lack of smoothness. So yeah, I like to have more horsepower. Yeah, both of those are a lot of fun. I don't know if I like one more than the other right now.
I do like the higher horsepower late models too. Those are fun. I like the Legends car. I had funny thing is I joined a hosted session in the Legends car, and I ended up being second fastest in practice. And then the dude freaking booted me from the server. I'm like, what the hell did I do? Must just hate general or something. But so Billy, what's your favorite and what's your least favorite?
Well, I think people can guess my favorite, but
I kind of figured, yeah.
Yeah, the 410 sprint car. Real quick, visual 1677 was in that race with Matt Maloney just commented, and he was the guy I was battling for 7th place with. We had some like really good wheel-to-wheel races, and that's the fun part is, I mean, I want to win, obviously, but having those wheel-to-wheel battles is really cool. Car I like the least is the Legends car.
Oh, really?
It's such a slot, just like ring, ring, and then it gets up into gear and you're just like, ring, it's just like, I can't handle it. It's just really boring to me. The one that's probably the most difficult for people to drive is the truck. I actually like the truck. A lot of people hate the truck, but it requires so much throttle control.
I want to get into the truck more because, yeah, I love how you're, like, never full throttle. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. So I do want to drive the truck more.
Super smooth with it, yeah. And I haven't seen that. I don't think they've done an official race, or I haven't seen it yet with the truck.
They haven't. That's probably why I haven't tried it yet. I was even looking for a hosted session in it, but I didn't see anything. I could have just gone into a test session, but that's probably why that's the one I haven't tried. It's interesting. I gotta get out there and try that thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
I like it.
Yep. No, I think we need to get out there and do some more driving. Maybe we'll, as some people in chat were saying, maybe we'll do some hosted sessions sometime and get a whole bunch of us out there, and we can all learn from Billy.
You should.
The Dirt Zen Master.
Yeah, it's been fun.
What's the max?
Well, I think there's. Go ahead.
What's the max field size for some of these tracks?
Depends on the track. Some are saying 30, some are 24. I think Volusia's like 24.
30.
Well, that's what they did in that sprint car race that they televised on. Yeah. They put 30 of those guys on, which is way too many.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. You're just racking up cautions at that point.
Yeah.
So, let's go ahead and get to Q&A. Hey, Darin, you're going back darker again. There you go. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I got my shades open and
the sun came out.
Yeah, the sun keeps hiding.
Damn you, nature. So I saw someone comment earlier. People said not paying attention to the chat. Well, we are kind of annoying. That's that. Ignoring you, maybe annoying, because we're trying to get through stuff. But Darin and Billy have been grabbing your questions, so we got them here. And I said, let's get going. Billy, want to take the first one since it's for you?
Crazy Dan. So crazy. Okay. What ultra wide are you using? Is it the one with G-Sync? So it is the... What is that? The XR3501 from BenQ? Is that what the model number is, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same one.
Same one.
Is there a 3501?
Yeah. It's 3501. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm using the exact same one. John's just got 3 of them because he's compensating. Anyway,
I'm in the closet. Compensating in the closet is very confusing times.
So, yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
John,
I really like that monitor.
John, didn't you just get engaged?
Yes, I did. I did recently get engaged to a woman, so it's all very confusing.
I'm totally confused.
That one doesn't have G-Sync though, does it, John?
It does not.
Okay, I don't really notice anything. It works super smooth.
And in my opinion, I did with the video on the Acer Z35 Predator. You know, you have to go. Your frame rate has to go so low for that to kick in that it's at a level where I really don't want to race at. So, I say you're better off sticking. I say about 85, 90 frames per second. You know, where VR is at, that's where you really notice the difference between 60 to 90. Huge difference. Above 90, not as much. So yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up on the G-Sync, in my opinion, even though others have called me a moron. So, you know, whoever you want to listen to. But you're the comments, you know, go nuts. But I don't think it's necessary. And yes, G-Sync does add a lot to the price.
I think it's just fine. I don't think you need to go nuts with that.
I agree. I mean, my monitors aren't G-Sync, and as long as if your system's able to maintain above 60 frames, you know, like John said, that sweet spot's probably about 90. If it's able to maintain above 90, then G-Sync's probably not going to make much of a difference. Now, if your system is not, or you really want to crank up that eye candy and run around 60 frames, then that's probably where G-Sync really comes into play.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at you have like X amount of money, I would, instead of putting that towards a G-Sync monitor, which that does add a fair amount to the price, if you're buying like 3 of them, then that gets really expensive. I'd put that money towards your PC and just shoot to run higher frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
I
would agree.
Yeah. Racing 393 Q&A. What the hell is happening to AC on the console? Seems to have gone very, very quiet. Whatchamacallit's coming? Billy?
Oh, the Porsche? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the server, dedicated servers. That's what's coming. Forever on Assetto Corsa.
The dedicated, yeah.
Private lobbies.
I see what you say. Private lobbies.
Yes. That's what's
well, they've been talking about that for a while.
It's been coming since last August.
I just don't understand why they thought that this would be. I'm not talking about the people that own it on the consoles. I'm not disparaging Racing 393. I'm saying I just don't know why they made the promise of having it come out at the same time. Because you can update on Steam so much easier. I think that's one of their biggest hurdles.
Yeah, no, definitely. They just...
Yeah, on the consoles, they got to go through Sony and Microsoft to get approved. So I would imagine that's a big part of their delays. You know, where, like Billy just pointed out, they don't need to do that on Steam. So that's why people were like, how come it's on... The Porsche's on the PC and it's not on the Xbox or PS4, and that's probably why right there.
Yeah,
probably. Let's see. Tom Jones, is the CSW 2.5 supposed to sound like a mini jet engine? I would assume not.
That's to keep you cool.
Yeah.
I would assume not as well.
I don't have one yet. I think Fanatic's waiting for me to do the review of the V3 inverted pedals or something.
Stop trying to be like Hulk, and tone down the force feedback there.
Yeah.
There you go. So, I will say the V2s never sounded super loud. Ryan Nalbuth, Money No Object, Fanatic CSL or Thrustmaster TX Alcantara Edition for the Xbox One. What say ye?
John, you answer that. You're the only one that's tried both.
Yeah. No, I like the CSL more since the production one I got that doesn't have the mounting issues. No, I like that. I mean, the CSL went pretty much head to head with the TSPC Racer, so no, I like that more right now on the Xbox One. Joe McDonald, Billy, what is the goal in moving the wing on the dirt sprint car? Billy, you have 60 seconds to answer this question.
Okay, 60. So. Basically, moving the wing forward loosens the car up on entry, so it makes it rotate easier and through the middle of the corner. Pulling the wing back tightens the car up, so it makes it harder to steer on entry or get it to rotate.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yep.
You're just changing. It changes the angle and also the placement of the downforce on the car.
There you go.
By the way, I'd like to just comment really quick. Thank you guys all for the well wishes and asking me how I'm doing. And I am doing much better. I'm actually walking now without, well, I have my crutch here, but...
Well, you still have to have the crutch so you can shake it at all the young hoodlums around town.
Exactly. or just like hold it at a certain angle and just like, pow! But no, I'm doing physical therapy twice a week. And... slowly but surely getting back to being more mobile. So thank you for asking, everybody. I appreciate that. So next question, Tom Jones. Tom, you're banned from questions, by the way. I was watching last week, and you had like 20 questions. So no more questions from Tom Jones. So never mind, scratch that question. No, I'm just kidding. This is a good question. Are you guys sticklers for running the right field of view? And I'll answer this first, and yes, I am. I think that can make a huge difference in just how you are, just how you're reacting to what the car is doing. If if you've got your field of view way off, then you're not going to react to the car properly, in my opinion. What about you guys?
Yes, I mean, that's a big reason why, tried really hard to get those monitors, was to really go and get a proper field of view and really be able to zoom in closer, but then, have the peripheral vision so you don't feel like you're on top of the steering wheel. And then, like, when I run in VR, I saw a couple of comments on YouTube, people have said, like, hey, you're doing it right, where VR, I always make sure I'm down in the car, where you're supposed to be. So many people are, like, up really high, and it's goofy. So no, I am a real big stickler on trying to get a proper field of view.
Billy?
Yeah, what's funny is I never used to be like a big stickler on it until I kind of understood the concept, and then once I got it to where I want it now, like going to other setups that don't have it, like my dad does not like it real where it should be. So, like, going and running his, I'm like, I can see the interior way too much for where you're sitting. This is really bizarre. It almost feels like it actually kills what you can see in the track. Like, having it closer where it should be. And I'm about within 10 degrees of where I should be. I kind of play with it. I'm not, like, dead set, like a hard number. I do have, like, about a 10 degree variance where I'll play with it a little bit to get it to feel right. But it's never more than that.
Yeah, so like in iRacing, and Assetto Corsa and R-Factor 2, I'll do the the bezel correction and the field of view calculator and all that stuff, and then a lot of times I'll have toggle switches on my button boxes set to move the field of view up, down, forward, and back, and then just like Billy was saying, just kind of fine tune it. Because it seems to change, vary a little bit car to car, like in iRacing. So I'll just kind of dial it into what I think is proper. But and the funny thing is, man, when we first started this show, that wasn't even really talked about much, field of view. Most people at that time where people were just transitioning from CRTs to LCDs, and I always wanted my monitor close, but I never really thought about making sure my field of view was dialed in perfectly. Man, back in the day, I don't think you could even adjust your view like in the early NASCAR titles. It was just run what you brung. Run what they set you with. Yeah.
Well, and like you said, that older aspect ratio, 4:3 or whatever, that's tough to get really close in, because then you can't like see anything, side to side. You want to see a little bit, so you're kind of forced to run a little further back.
Yep.
The best angle I like is when like I can get almost all, because I have the ultra wide, almost all of the windshield in my view. Maybe just a hint of side mirror on the left side.
Yeah.
That seems to be where I'm most comfortable.
Let's see. Where are we at? BRVT 1000 Q&A. Are you hosting an iRacing Dirt Lobby anytime soon? Needs to learn from Billy Wan Kenobi.
I like Billy Wan Kenobi.
That's funny.
Oh boy.
We might have to.
We have to.
Yeah. Maybe that's something to do this Friday.
I was gonna say what we could do is probably not this Friday. Is just do a practice session with some where it's slicked off, and we can do like a lead follow in that session, because everybody should have or at least I'll have a microphone. And then we can do some lead follow sessions to the misconception, and I've seen it actually in here, and I'm not picking on anybody. It's just the 305s. Everybody thinks you just need to be flat foot to the floor, and you don't. You actually need to roll out, depending on the track condition. On Eldora, it's a little different, but like Williams Grove, biggest problem I saw was people entering too early, and then when they did enter early, too shallow, that is, they're not rolling out of the throttle just a little bit to let the car naturally try to rotate, because that's what the stagger is for. So they end up washing out and losing all kinds of time coming off the corner. The car doesn't have enough horsepower to compensate, so it's just little things like that.
Makes sense. Yeah, no, we'll get something set up and let everyone know, and try to give a couple days in advance and social media, and we can always maybe I'll do a blog post on the website. That's kind of what we did with that Porsche 911 Cup race back when that came out, and I think that worked out. Yeah, it worked out pretty well. We got probably about, I think we got over 30 people in there. So we'll try to do the same for the dirt stuff, because I want to learn too. Let's see, Saint Lexicon Q&A. Can we add you guys to our iRacing friends? Sure.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I am friends with Saint Lexicon on Origin, and we've done some Battlefield 1 together.
Nice.
So
there you go.
Definitely hook it up, man. Add us as a friend.
Yeah.
Not that I'm on there all that much. I mean, when I'm on, a lot of times it's just for testing purposes.
Oh, I was gonna say forums.
Yeah. No, actually, I was just yesterday. I was testing. Go ahead, Billy. No, go ahead, you, Billy.
Oh, I was going to say, I've had a few people. Actually, I've had a boatload of people actually friend request me, and it's mainly so that they can watch. They can watch during the races, so that they can spectate and stuff. I've had, I don't know how many people then like message me afterward. That was awesome. Like, I figured out what I was doing wrong, and I like hearing that stuff. I like hearing, like, at least something I'm doing is helping other people, whether it be the videos we put on ISR, or if you want to watch the races that I'm in. That's perfectly fine.
Yes, sir. What were you gonna say, Darin?
I was just gonna say I was testing a new SimVibe feature yesterday, John.
By the way, I pulled out the speakers. I'm ready. I need to go buy wiring. So if you have any where I should go for that.
Radio Shack.
Yeah, I figured it's all the same.
Anyway, I was testing a new effect that we're considering coming out with for SimVibe, and it was oversteer. And you know what? I'd like to get you a copy of this, John, when you get this. Maybe a beta copy of this. But it was cool because at the onset of oversteer, basically the transducers were rumbling, but and Bernie and I talked about this, but I wasn't fond of the effect, because it felt like the tires were on gravel as they were starting to, and it wasn't in dirt. I was just running a centripetal, whatever the hell it is, circuit in the Lotus 49, and just running it right on the edge. Bill, I got to get you a copy of SimVibe too. Got to get you a butt kicker.
There we go.
Anyway, so I was doing that yesterday. So most of the time I'm on iRacing, I'm just testing different things. I need to race though. I need to get into a dirt race. Scott Holmes, my friend Scott Holmes, has been running. He says now back to how's the racing. He's been running in the 305, and I think he just got his C license last night. Yeah, he did. And he's saying that the racing in his I rating was about 1400, was less than quality. But he said he got into a few good races. But anyway, I got to get out there. I want to do some dirt racing because I think
I think part of that is I just naturally can recognize when somebody from doing it when somebody's gonna come across the track or get too sideways and they're gonna lose it. So I think part of that is just learning to recognize when somebody's gonna have an issue.
Yep. Felix or Q&A, what is your favorite NASCAR era / car generation? Oh, I don't know. It's all rose-tinted glasses. Being a Jeff Gordon fan, the late 90s were good for me. 98 particularly. I have a not a poster, like a wood. No, it's a poster like on a piece of wood that's like from a 98 season. I'm thinking I'm gonna like hide it up in the corner of the closet where it's not really on camera. So I was like, I gotta get this thing mounted up on the wall. I've only had it for like ever.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite era. The '90s. You know, with Dale Earnhardt Sr. and the Labonte brothers and Rusty Wallace and Darrell Waltrip was still racing.
He wasn't annoying us weekly on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it was that was my favorite era. That's when NASCAR got huge too.
Yeah, it did. I would say aesthetically, I actually like the cars from the mid '80s. I like the boxy.
Yeah, I do too.
Lots of the fender flares and stuff like that. I like the tracks back then. And
yes, North Wilkesboro.
We had Riverside.
Yes. Do you ever go?
I was a big Tim Richmond fan.
Yeah, me too.
When I was a kid. So
I saw him at Riverside a few times. I was at the last Riverside race, as a matter of fact. Okay.
Yeah, so I was a big one. As far as racing goes, I don't know. I guess I would say the mid '90s were, when Jeff Gordon and those guys kind of came on the scene, and I'd followed Jeff Gordon before that, so that was cool. I don't know. I think I'm more of an aesthetics person on this one. I think the mid '80s is where I sit.
I got a Riverside story for you guys. So I was at the Riverside race, and there was a red flag. I don't remember for what. I mean, I was a teenager, maybe early 20s when that race went off. And we were sitting in the S's, and so there was a red flag, and all the cars were parked right in front of us. And all of a sudden, Michael Waltrip comes out of his car. The red flag was out there for a while, so they were cleaning up something. I don't remember what. But anyway, red flag.
You have to pee.
He had to pee, got out of his car, hopped the fence, went into somebody's motorhome, and I'm assuming took a leak, and then went back to his car. It was funny.
I've seen a guy pee on a racetrack before, so we had a red flag, and I'm not going to say who it is, but we had a red flag.
It was Billy.
No, it wasn't me. I thought about it though. There have been a couple times where you've been out there a while and it hits red flag and you're like, man, I should have gone before I got out here. This is not good. But
have you ever gone in? Hold on, Billy. Billy, real quick. Have you ever gone in your suit?
Nope. Thought I was going to, but never did. I've actually sat in the car so long waiting to get pushed off. I actually got out of the car and ran to the bathroom and then came back and buckled back in. But yeah, this guy all of a sudden parks on the back straightaway and parks the car kind of funny. I'm like, what the heck is he doing? And all of a sudden, on that particular track, it's all fencing on the back straightaway with billboards. And man, he jumps out, kind of hunkers down behind the right rear in between the Nerf bar and everything, and just starts being on the track. I'm like, well, you got to go.
Nice.
Chuck wants to say hi, buddy.
Charlie.
Yeah, he wants to say hi.
Such a good boy now.
He is. He's gotten so much better. No, what do you do with the microphone, Chucks? You want to say hi?
Yeah, I can't quite bring Indy yet. She's in that 6 month to a year terror phase where, I don't know, just crazy little dog.
If nobody knocked on my door, I could leave my dogs in here. But if somebody knocks on my door, that's all you're going to hear.
I know.
Well, he's like that, too. He goes nuts. I'm all freaking wet now. He's turned into a great dog. He's mellowed out a bunch. Anyway, back to the show. Sorry.
Yep. I just want to capture this one, unless Billy's grabbing things I'm not seeing. Leonardo Rafi, I'm sorry. Hey guys, for Q&A, if I don't make it later. From a G27 and GTX 970 with single monitor, what would be a nice improvement? Oculus, better wheel and pedals, budget around 700, thanks. If you're on a G27, I think, and you have $700 to spend, I think there's room for improvement there on the hardware side. You know, a T300 is a nice upgrade. You know, we mentioned earlier the CSL from Fanatics, nice. But yeah, I definitely look to put some of that money towards wheel and, you know, I assume wheel and pedals. I assume it's G27 pedals as well. And then if anything's left over, well, if anything's left over, it's not going to be a whole lot to spend on the PC. You're not going to get any more monitors, or you're not going to get enough to get an Oculus. So
Yeah.
yeah, and a 970 isn't bad. You got a 970 single monitor, that'll get the job done. I don't really see a reason to upgrade to like a 1070, because that's another $400-ish, and that's, you know.
I don't know how much of a performance boost you're going to see from just doing that.
Not on single monitor. I think you should be okay with a 970. So yeah, I would say look at wheel and pedals if you got $700 to spend.
I would agree.
I agree too.
Or 700 euros, wherever you're at. I assume it's euros. Let's see. Back to this list here. Where the hell are we? Mohammed Al Nuami?
Do it.
Next Level Racing F1 GT is in stock now. Does John have one yet for review? I do not. I emailed our boy Hess over there at Next Level earlier this week, and it's not arriving to the US for another 2 or 3 weeks, and when it does, I'll be getting one. So we're kind of at the mercy of the US being behind the rest of the world in terms of stock. So yeah, those definitely, I've already seen there's a few out in the wild, but hopefully get it soon, and I'm gonna try to get a review on that one real quick, because I think that's gonna be a very interesting one.
Matter of fact, I think it was on Facebook, I think it was that chassis setup, and the dude's monitor was like a freaking mile away.
On the box?
Oh, yeah.
On the box?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
the F1 chassis, the whole chassis
Yeah.
laid out,
Yeah.
and the monitor was sitting like 3 or 4 feet in front of the front of the rig.
Yeah, it was way out in front. I just kind of went, oh, that would be odd.
It is a longer chassis, because I looked at that, because I was looking around in here and trying to figure out where I'd put it and what to do with it, and whether or not to put it in. And I don't think it's going to work in the closet, because the monitor's going to be too high. So I got the single...
And you're not going to have enough space out in front.
Probably not. So I got the TV over here that's still on one of the stands. So I think I'm going to do it there. But yeah, they that rig takes up almost the whole length of the little carpet doodad they had, which is like 62 inches I measured yesterday. So it you know, with it in the F1, and you know, kind of the way the seats laid back, it's pretty long. So yeah.
Well, I think in GT setup would work for you.
GT would probably be a little bit shorter, but no, it's going to be a longer chassis than, say, the V2, which the V2 was actually not that long of a rig. But no, anyway, yeah, getting back to the answer, yes, hoping to review that soon, and I'm going to jump on that one pretty quickly, unlike a couple of the other hardware pieces I've had laying around and I've dragged my feet on. Because reviewing pedals is a pain in the ass. Anyway.
Yeah, come on, John. Get with the program. What the hell?
Let's see. Holy5223, what are you guys' opinion on the Primax 4K VR headset? Any plan to do a review on it? I have not even heard of this.
That's the first I've ever heard of it.
Well, at least I know I'm not the only one out.
I did see this conversation. Speaking of 4K, I saw this conversation earlier. Tomorrow there's going to be a live stream or announcement of the Scorpio, the new Xbox One. They're doing it really odd. They're using the guys over at Digital Foundry, who, if they'll do racing content, because they're always about frame rate. Essentially, they have a bunch of tools, do real nice videos that are out of UK. But Microsoft's teaming up with them, which is fascinating, to kind of unveil it, and I assume they're going to be kind of putting it on to their equipment, showing frames per second and things like that. So, yeah, we'll find out more about the Xbox future tomorrow. Rumor is it's going to be the Xbox X. Xbox One X. Which makes sense, because you have the S, now you have the X. Now they need E model.
Extreme!
Yes, exactly.
I'll take the next one.
Okay.
I'll take the next question. Deadpool. I guess it was to all you guys. Should I get the Fanatec CSW V 2.5 or save up and go with OSW direct drive wheel? Now, I don't think you should get either.
Here we go.
Give us the sales pitch, Darin.
I think you should go with the Sim Experience AccuForce, to be honest. Matter of fact, I wanted to mention it on the show here today. We just dropped the price of the DIY AccuForce to just over $700. So,
Oh wow!
just wanted to throw that out there to you guys. It's like 704, I think. I gotta tell Bernie about those odd price numbers. But anyway, yeah, the DIY AccuForce. Anyway, back to answer your question. Honestly, you should go with a direct drive. I mean, if you're whether it's an AccuForce or an OSW, if you're in the market to get a new wheel, I would go that route personally.
Yeah, I mean, if you can afford it, as I mentioned in that head-to-head with the CSL, CSW, and TSPC Racer. Too many letters. Yeah, I mean, it might be the best of the bunch, but it's still below direct drive. I mean,
Yeah.
there is a line there, so if you can swing it, that's the better way to go. Let's see. Alan Mitchell, do you think with Dirt they are going to spend more time developing for that and less time resources will be spent on new road oval content / features?
I don't think
This
so.
is an interesting question because I got asked this more than once because people knew I was doing the testing, and you have separate things going on there. There's different divisions, and it's not gonna. I mean, I went back through and looked at all the content that came last year. And I was like, there's a lot of stuff that iRacing did last year. And then, yeah, that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I can understand if you were thinking that, but from my perspective in dealing with them and seeing that they were doing the GT3 tire development at the same time and the new Cup suspension and aero fixes for the car at the same time they were doing Dirt, like, no.
Yeah, don't worry about it. This stuff ebbs and flows. Anytime oval content comes out, the road guys complain. Anytime road stuff comes out, the oval guys complain. Now Dirt, add that to another. Don't worry about it. But something me and Billy were talking about last week. We're hopeful that Dirt tracks will come out pretty quickly because they shouldn't be that much to build them. They're so small.
Yeah, crossover. Yep.
Yeah, and that's in the grand scheme of things, that's probably like one or two guys working on it. One guy full time would be like someone like a Greg Hill overlooking it, reviewing it, a bunch of tracks. Yeah, don't worry about it. Let's
do rapid fire, guys, because I'm getting to the point where I got to get up.
I agree, and it's a nice day here. I want to go outside and enjoy it before these storms arrive.
My ankle's starting to swell. Not that you guys needed that mental picture, but anyway.
He's swelling.
I'm swelling up. So, John, this one's to you. Are you adding any fans to your race closet? I guess it will get very warm in there. LOL. I agree.
I've thought about it. Yeah, I have a overhead light. I might put in an overhead, take that out, and put a fan in for that.
Good idea.
I think there's going to be some kind of fan in there.
Josh S. VR or monitors, guys?
If you're curious in VR, go buy it, and if you don't like it, you can always put it up on eBay and not lose that much money.
Yep.
There you go.
I agree with that. Orange Jectro RR. Any news about the Thrustmaster Direct Drive? No. Visual 1677. Would you ever do a setup shop tutorial for wing cars?
I think Billy should.
I do too.
Okay, then.
Billy's like, yeah.
My opinion, real quick, right now is if you start messing around with the car, you're going to dial yourself out. You're better off just using the specific setup for the track.
There you go.
Yeah, and I found that the defaults are pretty damn good. Yeah, I think anyway, let's not get into detail. Jay Richtergood. Darin, was it the clutch foot? Yes, my left foot is the one that my left ankle is what broke. Jack McLeod, iRacing or Assetto Corsa?
They're both good.
Yeah.
Depends what you're looking for.
If you're looking for more on the online side of things, or NASCAR, or now dirt oval, then iRacing's obviously the place to go. If you're looking for more European content with AI, Assetto Corsa is the way to go. Jack also asks, is Assetto Corsa good on the console?
In my review of it on this channel, I liked it from it being the most simulated sim experience you can have on the consoles, but as Billy's noted, it is lacking some things, especially compared to the PC. So, depends how hardcore you want to get. Probably.
Yeah.
Alan Mitchell, I'll answer this one. Is vibe important? Does it bring anything to the simulator? Yes. It can add a lot. John, you've tried it actually on my rig, John, so you know what it feels like.
I'm ready to get it on.
Yeah, it definitely adds more immersion because you're just
Yes.
you're feeling what the car, you're feeling the engine, bumps in the road, all that kind of stuff. So it definitely can make a huge difference. Nigel Benton's Xbox Scorpio is being revealed this week with rumors that Forza 7 will be showcasing the consoles. What are your thoughts on another console, interested or not?
When I heard about this news yesterday, it was a kind of funny show. I was like, "Oh, I bet they're going to show off Forza 7, because it's going to be probably a Microsoft in-house game. So I bet there's a decent chance that we'll see 7 tomorrow."
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Richard,
thoughts on another console?
Go ahead. Yeah, Billy. What do you think?
I don't mind it. I mean, we're getting close to what? 4 years. It came out 2013.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 4 years or so. I'm fine with it.
But it's going to be backwards compatible with all Xbox One stuff, correct?
Yeah, you could look at that as a good thing or a bad thing. If it's got to support the older stuff, you can make the argument that they're holding back the games in order to meet some minimum threshold on the original Xbox One console. I think if it kind of operates like a PC where you can turn up, graphics or prioritize frame rate or whatever, I think it's fine. I think in fact, I did not get a PS4 Pro, but depending on what they do, I'm on the fence with an Xbox One, the new one, the Scorpio.
Yeah. I got a Nintendo Switch.
Did you?
Yeah.
How's that going?
I've had a lot. I finished Zelda, which is one of the few games that's out on it. But it's cool. I mean, I like that you can use it as a handheld or drop it in the cradle and hook it up to your TV.
What have you mostly played it in? Handheld or on TV?
On TV.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
I was gonna get one, couldn't find one.
What, Billy? You broke up there. What'd you say?
I said I was gonna get one and couldn't find one. So
I pre-ordered it. I got like one of the last ones. Oh, I got a quick story to tell on this one. I got one of the last ones at GameStop.
Who'd you beat up to get it, Darin?
Nobody. I didn't
Dropped an elbow.
Crutch.
I beat the hell out of somebody with my crutches. I got lucky. I saw that they were doing the pre-release deal, and I tried Amazon. They were sold out. Walmart, Target, everybody was sold out. And then I checked my local GameStop. I got like one of the last 2 that were available. And so Andrea, my wife, and I went to GameStop midnight on the 3rd of March. Man, that place was geeked out. Seriously, there was some serious video game nerds. Not that we're all not, but
I was gonna say this is kind of like the pot calling the kettle black
kettle
here.
black. Yeah, no, I agree. But,
Hey, who are you talking about? I only sim race.
I mean,
You
John,
might be worse.
John, John, you've seen what I'm talking about.
I know. Oh, I know.
You want to talk about nerdy? I'm playing Persona 5 right now, so.
No, but there's just different levels of nerd. And man, there was some high level nerd there.
High or low functioning, depending on how you want to look at it.
I do not support this conversation.
Richard.
Andrea was cracking up. So go ahead. Andrea was cracking up though at the nerd fest at GameStop that night.
Richard W. Curious and probably asked before, but what software is used for this recording and broadcast? This is XSplit, which works for the most part. Honestly, more issue with Windows 10 these days. That's why our stream failed a few weeks back. It was literally a Windows 10 thing. XSplit put out a statement about it. So we're all stuck with it essentially these days. Kung Fu Joe 1110, mid-price pedal recommendations. CSL Elite from Fanatec, $200. And if you can't spend that much, then T3 PA pedals.
Well, I'd say that's low end, low price.
What, 200?
Mid-price. Yeah, I'd say that's on the low end for pedals.
It kind of is. You can go higher.
Yeah, I'd say mid is more like Fanatec Club Sport range.
Yep. If you get the Club Sport, make sure you get the brake performance kit. Had someone else just message me saying like, "Oh man, that makes all the difference." It does.
Yep, I agree.
Jack McLeod, is Logitech G920 a good wheel for Xbox One for Forza and project cars? It's not bad, but there's definitely better out there. And I was reminded of that when I was driving the G29 last week at that Dirt 4 event.
Man, I have not had a nice experience with that setup. That
would not be our first choice.
No.
Or second.
No, yeah, I mean, honestly, I wish I had a T150 or a TMX for the Xbox instead. They're not. They use lower kind of quality materials, but internally they're better wheels. I'd rather be driving that than the Logitechs these days.
Yep. Tom Jones, somebody asked this question for me because he was banned. Do you guys have to ask for products to review, or do most manufacturers offer products?
Both.
I'd say it's both.
It's probably more offered than asked.
Yes. Yeah, and the ones that we really want, we ask for. You know, if they don't get in touch with us, and that goes for software too. But it goes both ways. This one I'll take. Explosive TV. So these are the guys that that put on the Assetto Corsa 12-hour race. Hi guys, great show. I'm a fan since 2012. Darin, thanks for taking part in the race and for the support there. You're very welcome, and thanks for putting on that race. And it was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to be back, and I want to bring these two guys maybe to join me too.
Yeah, no, nice job on that. That was a quality looking stream. I watched that clip before putting up on YouTube. I'm sure it doesn't look as nice on here as it does, whatever. But yeah, it looked nice.
Yep, they did a great job.
Graham Cook, are you guys part of a dirt rally league? Would you consider starting ISR leagues so we can compete against the team? There is a league on our forums, and we took part in that a little bit when Dirt Rally came out on the PC, and I'm sure they'll do it again when Dirt 4 comes out, and I like to get back into that. I kind of fell off the bus there, so go check out the ISR TV Forums League. I think maybe look it up on Dirt Rally.
Here, I just put a link to it in the chat.
Even better. So yeah, check that out.
Yeah, thanks to Turbo Turtle for keeping that going.
Yes.
And yeah, they've been running it weekly for
ever.
A year,
yeah,
at least.
I'm always impressed to see it. It's like, oh, it's still going.
Yep. Billy, you were in a dirt league too when you first started with us. Weren't you in a dirt rally league?
Yeah, I was with the Conelanders guys, and that was fun.
Right.
That's right.
So what else we got? We got a few more here.
Yep.
Actually, I can answer this one too. When will Josh S. When will Butt Kicker Gamer be back in stock? Can't find them anywhere. I think that they've been out of stock for like a year now.
I think, maybe over.
They've
gone.
Yeah. Well, I know they're still
a company.
Kickers. Yeah, because Sim Experience buys butt kickers, and that they've tweaked for us, specific to Sim Vibe. And I just saw an order for a bunch of them coming to us. So, man, they've had to have lost a ton of sales to people going the DIY route because they're not available. And talk about a great option. I mean, those are like under $200. Amp and butt kicker.
Guys, do I need to go and drive to Columbus and go knock on the doors? I mean, they're just like an hour and a half up the road. Not even that.
Bang, bang.
should.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
I've noticed that your butt kicking hasn't been very good lately.
that's right. Get better at your butt kicking. Last
one. Rob Stubbs, who I think I've known for a long time. If it's the same guy I'm thinking of, and if it is, hey Rob, have you ever lost the love for sim racing? I haven't driven in months. It's a great question.
Yeah, no, I have. I've gone through ebbs and flows. There's times where I've just haven't done as much. I mean, sometimes there's times in this job where I'm not ever away from it, but I haven't done as much racing as I like to do, and that was part of the motivation of getting that closet set up. To just, I don't know, I was just really frustrated with the old setup, so I wanted to get that cleaned up and give me more. Now I'm very motivated to go race a little bit more. So it happens. I mean, it's the long game. It's not a sprint.
Yep, I feel the same way.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to be up a game's rear all the time.
We'll always be here to catch you.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I think geez, that's why I play other video games besides sim stuff, and it will not hurt as much as you might think. Going outside, it's okay.
What?
Picking up a book.
What?
Son?
A book?
Those are dirty words.
Like, oh my god, I can't remember the last time I've read something that's not on a screen. Oh.
Actually, the last things I've read were on a screen. The last books I read were not actual books.
That's why when I got my LASIK, I've gotten these glasses that take out the blue light. So I'm trying to wear these a little more when I'm working here. They work out really well.
So how's the late? So now Q&A's done, guys. We're gonna wrap that up. But
Yep.
how's the LASIK working out for you, John? Are you still? I saw last week you were going to push your glasses up and you didn't have them on.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been going really well. I mean, some people report different things. I know my mom had it. She saw some like halos, and the other day I was over there and she's putting drops in because she said she was getting a little bit of a halo effect when it gets dry. But no, mine healed up real quick, and the only thing that was kind of weird was I think like last week, actually, when we were going to the airport, Billy was dropping me off. The lights were kind of getting kind of odd looking, but that's part of the healing process, and haven't even had to put that many drops in my eyes. They've been really good, so A+, I recommend it.
Right on, Billy. You
and
up
I
next?
did not drive like a crazy person in the Hellcat, so you
What?
made it just safe.
Why not?
There was only one time, and I was very moderate about it. I know I do not need to wrap us around a tree or a pole or end up in a ditch. Don't need to be that guy.
Burnout? Did you at least do a burnout with a minute?
No, man, I don't want to replace those tires yet. I'll wait till they're like down to the nubs, and then I'll roast them.
What burnout's not gonna roast them? Come on now.
It is a pretty sweet car.
It would if you're not ready for it, it'll bite you. So we were on like, as John can attest, my house is like out in the middle of nowhere, and as idealistic as that sounds, the roads aren't great out here, and that's all I need to do is for traction to slip on one side, and we're flying off the road.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like out there you could catch some air, do some hazards.
And then 2/3 of ISR is dead.
Right? Yeah, not a good day.
No, that would be horrible.
Least of all for me.
Least of all for that poor Hellcats. Oh man, another one.
Oh yeah, I would cry.
R.I.P. Okay, so what do you say, guys? Wrap this up.
Let's wrap it up. That was
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. A lot of people here watching today live, and a lot of great questions. And yeah, it was fun chatting with you guys.
You're making my eyes water about all that LASIK talk. I can't handle it.
I know that. Yes, that's it. So Billy will go off and cry. Darin will get his foot not in a position that doesn't hurt, and I'll go into the closet.
I'll limp my ass out of here.
Yes, exactly. So, thank you for watching this week Inside Sim Racing, April 5th, 2017 edition. For Billy Strange, Darin Ganji, I'm John Sable. See you guys next time.
See ya.
Later.